Welcome back to the Terry and Jesse Show. We're hearing Father Josh Stengel, one of the priests of Father Chad Ripperger's community, tell us his story. Now, he'll be at the Spiritual Warfare Conference April 11th and 12th, so you might want to get your registrations in along with Archbishop Joseph Strickland, America's bishop, and many of the guys, Dan Snyder, Jess Romero, Kyle Clement, Dr. Louis Sandoval. So keep that in mind. Don't wait till April to register because you might be too late. Jesse, you had a good question to ask Father about a case. Go ahead.
Yeah, Father. So when did this? We as Catholics, we've always believed in angels and demons, but when did this become like concrete for you, where this is like more than just theology and reading it in a book?
Yeah.
Is there a particular story that you can shed light on where you said, "Yep, this is real"?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, this is my life as a priest now.
You know, I think going back even early on in parish ministry, there were, and maybe even before that, there were just things in my life where I knew different moments of God's grace at work and prayer at work. And so that I knew the reality of the spiritual life and prayer and the saints and so forth. I'll mention, one moment of, where I was someone who I knew was troubled, and they had come to the parish that I was at that time, and was going to walk into the church with them through the front door, and they just like froze and were stuck.
Wow.
And like hit a wall and couldn't get through the door.
Sure.
Until praying a little bit and then getting them in. And so, something that I didn't know anything about this ministry at that time, but as just an example of experiences like that, where, and also in parish ministry as a priest, as part of this, when I started with the Pope Leo Institute, but then also I was invited by our diocesan exorcist to just to sit in on a solemn case that he had in already kind of right in the middle of it.
Wow.
And so then that was seeing, what he was doing and the power of the sacramentals, the power of prayer, the power of the priestly ministry in those exorcisms, where then it was, directly confronted like, wow, the immediate effect of the commands of the priest in a solemn exorcism.
Yeah.
What was happening with the saints, with the sacramentals and everything. That was when it was, the moment where it was kind of any further blinders or any further kind of, thing of not understanding what exorcism ministry would be, through some of those sessions, like, oh, no, I see what it is. But the beauty of it was, it was such a holy experience. It was full of the power of God, the intercession of the saints, the sacramentals, the prayers, and it was such a hopeful, a hope-filled experience where, seeing what the demons were doing, but that was just a small part of, what was so impressive was seeing what God was doing in the midst of that, and to be able to see that in such a immediate way, in the moment, to see a prayer or a command or a prayer of the priest answered,
Wow.
in that moment.
Oh yeah. Jesse,
Father Joshua, don't you think it would be a good idea if every priest that works at a parish, because they have these walk-ins all the time of people that are diabolically afflicted in the parish. Don't you think it would be a good idea pastorally for the bishops to allow every single priest to sit in a session and help out the diocesan exorcism?
It seems, there may be, I don't know what the objections would be. There may be exactly how that could be done as far as, for the privacy of the individual. Sure. And so forth in a case and so forth. That may have to be done kind of carefully, and but but there would certainly be some cases where that could be appropriate and be very beneficial, I think. I don't know how exactly what would be the right way to do it, but certainly it needs to be more known just among priests in general. And I think if it is, then there's, it's helped me in my priesthood in so many other ways. But then also it connects, just also seeing how this works with people. It connects right into basic, pastoral ministry and the spiritual life of the person.
Yeah.
So if you're engaged with helping people spiritually, helping people in regular sacramental ministry and everything else, this fits right in. It's not some, strange, bizarre thing that doesn't connect with anything else that just, certain priests should be involved in. This fits right in with everything else in the spiritual life and in parish ministry. There's the particular training that's needed and so forth, solemn exorcisms, but there's so much that needs to be understood and could be done by just any parish priest.
Father Josh, I have a question, and I asked other exorcists this question about the loss in the world of the supernatural. Even in the church, we wonder if they really, I think of what Bishop Strickland said, even at a bishop's conference, gentlemen, do we believe in the supernatural? And it seems to me that this has affected the church and the world in a very negative way when we don't realize that life is short and eternity is forever, and that we do have a spiritual life. So the world today is filled with much diabolical activity. How has the loss of the sacred in the secular world affected the spiritual world? And also, I say even in the church, our faith is weak. At least I've experienced after the last 45 years of being in parish ministry, that you wonder if people really understand the supernatural. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's, speaking of parish priests and for priests and religious laity, everything, but for the priests, there's priests that don't want to touch this because of the fear, like, oh, I don't want to get involved in that.
Right.
And there's also ones that's like, they will just downplay it. It's like, oh, that's not really, people just need psychiatric help, or they just need counseling.
Sure.
They will just deny the reality of spiritual warfare. But what does that mean? They're denying the truths of the faith, but they're denying the demonic, they're denying the angelic, they're denying the spiritual life, they're denying the soul. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, they're denying God himself, and so much that connects to, the denial of, eternity, that there is a hell, that there is
exactly
a personal, a personal being that is Satan. This is not just a personification of evil or some idea of evil, but this is a fallen angel who wills harm to us in his malice and tries to pull us into damnation. And so all of that has been, so much that has just been pulled away from how priests preach, how, what the writing, books and everything else, media, that's just not talked about so much. And then and going for our prayers and everything else that where this has been, kind of neglected in the church. But then that's, of course, then, through Christianity and through the world, the loss of the loss of a supernatural sense, where that leads then to kind of more the atheism, agnosticism, and so forth, just falling away from belief. Yeah. But ultimately, we are spiritual beings. We have our soul that is seeking that truth that we're made for. And when the truth is gone, it's not just going to go to atheism, it's going to go to the occult and to New Age practices, seeking Eastern mysticism and Buddhism and Hinduism, all of these different things. And, going back to ancient whether it's, the Nordic pagan gods or the North American paganism or whatever it might be, or earth worship, or anything else. It's not just it doesn't just go to a neutral place. It goes to an evil place quickly.
Incredible. Father Josh Stengel will be at the Spiritual Warfare Conference April 11th and 12th with Bishop Joseph Strickland, Dr. Louis Sandoval, Jesse Romero, Kyle Clement, Dr. Dan Schneider. It's going to be a great event. And Father, you've got a couple talks you're going to give to us at that event. People can register by going to vmpr.org. I'm going to put you, we're going to take a quick break. I hear the bumper music coming in. I just want to encourage people to get your tickets early so you're not going to be left out by going to vmpr.org and look at the Spiritual Warfare Conference, April 11th and 12th.